Haris Rauf and that fan altercation that you're seeing is still going viral at this point in time. Now, it's no use debating who is right and who is wrong, because the nature of these kind of events always draws mixed responses. One thing is for sure, abuse can never ever be tolerated, be it in any form, be it in any kind of magnitude. If the so-called fan has abused Haris Rauf, then he's lucky he had to be restrained, because tolerance level nowadays in the modern era can indeed go down. And if you have to look at it, this is not a one-off that has happened with Pakistan. You think that the Haris Rauf fan in altercation was new. If you look back at it, for 36 years, there have been two prominent instances when Pakistani cricketers have lost their cool. And they have almost come to blows with fans, either in the stands or outside of the ground. The first and most prominent incident, apart from the Haris Rauf incident that happened in Florida, you just have to go north. Toronto 1997, where Inzamam-ul-Haq, who was with Pakistan at that point in time, really lost his cool against the constant heckling that was there from the stands. Now, this is the backdrop of it. During one of the games, there was a certain section of the Indian fans who were giving Inzamam-ul-Haq a lot of hell. They were calling him Alu, but that was equivalent to body shaming at that point in time. Yes, now Inzamam-ul-Haq could take it no longer. He came with a bat, he swung at the fan, and he had to be restrained. Lot of other people, security personnel and everybody jumped into it. Then at that point it became a really ugly situation. The Indian fan in question at that time was a certain Shiv Kumar Thind, and because of his actions, the whole game was brought into disrepute. Now, Inzamam's actions were lambasted across the section of the media, but what about that fan? Wasn't he body shaming at that point in time? No one has the right to body shame, and whatever be the fan's liberty at that point in time, you've crossed the line. It's a good thing that that fan didn't sustain serious injuries, because looking at the way how Inzamam swung the bat, assault could have been pressed against him. Charges of assault would have been pressed against him, but there was an out-of-court settlement that happened. And because of that, the matter just calmed down. But body shaming, fat shaming, all these kind of things is wrong. And in this case, Inzamam, okay, he had to maintain his cool, but at certain point in time, the heckling just became unbearable. And there were certain other communal twists thrown into this as well, which made it a whole lot more difficult than it could be. But you thought this was a one-off. Rewind 9 years afterwards, what happened 9 years before? In 1988, during one of the best series that was played, West Indies versus Pakistan, Bridgetown, Barbados. 1-0 West Indies were trailing in that series. They were in danger of losing their proud home record. But in a very, very tense game on the final day, there was an altercation, a physical altercation that happened. Abdul Qadir was the man in question. There was a lot of decisions that went against Pakistan. Two cast iron decisions with Jeffrey Dujon and Malcolm Marshall in that. One was definitely out. The other was rather debatable. Inside edge seemed to be one. LBW was plumb, but the umpire didn't give it out. Now, Qadir was absolutely incensed, and he grabbed the hat of that the umpire gave him, and he was heading to the boundary. But knowing that the two decisions had gone against him, a certain sections of the fans in Barbados heckled Qadir. Now, Qadir jumped over the boundary rope and threw a punch at the fan. Now, you can see this is one of the footage, can you believe it, of that greatest series that was played, 87-88, Pakistan, West Indies. No footage exists, because series in the West Indies prior to 1994 were never telecast in full. That was the thing. So that is why, looking at it, this was the image, the grainy image that we got from one of the videos. Qadir threw a punch, And because of that, after the match ended, the police escorted Qadir out of the stadium, where he had to explain the actions. Now, it stopped short to going to court. A fine was given to the fan that yes, that Abdul Qadir had to pay a certain amount to the fan. The matter was resolved there in and there. So, if you look at the history of Pakistan cricket, these altercations are nothing new. Abdul Qadir was heckled a lot in Barbados, that's why he threw a punch at the fan. Inzamam-ul-Haq suffered fat shaming and body shaming to unprecedented levels in Toronto 1997, which is why luckily he didn't connect. Had he connected, that fan would have been killed. In Florida, fast forward 27 years later, you had one more fan crossing the limits and abusing Haris Rauf. Agreed. Haris Rauf didn't have the best performance. Agreed, he's not been in good form. Agreed, his attitude was a problem. But what about the attitude of the fans? The fans seriously need to introspect, because criticism and abuse, the lines have totally been blurred. And that is why now this situation is very, very uncalled for, both by the player and by the fan. And Mohammad Rizwan's pathetic attempt to give another twist to it doesn't make matters any better. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis. Bye-bye.